I think there's a decent chance that CJ Stroud's number one targeted player for the Texans in 2023 is Dalton Schultz, which should create plenty of fantasy football and best ball relevance. Schultz is on a one-year prove-it deal on the Texans after 3 straight seasons being a top 10 targeted tight end and having receiving seasons of 577, 808, and 615 yards. In 2022, he played the majority of 14 games. In 6 out of 14 of those games, he had 7+ targets. Also, in 6 out of 14 of those games, he was the tight end 6 or better for fantasy. 2 games with 2 touchdowns scored. If we look at the playoffs, he was a major piece of the 2 games the Cowboys appeared in. He had 3 total touchdowns in those 2 games. He also had 18 targets in them. 2021 was his big season. He averaged 6.1 targets per game. He was number 6 for the tight end position that season in both receiving yards and yards after the catch. 8 total touchdowns. He averaged 12.3 fantasy points per game, which was the 5th best. When we look at the Texans depth chart, I see a lot of question marks. I used to love Robert Woods, but he's had an obvious career decline. We're hoping he's healthy, but he has had that decline. Nico Collins has showed us some promise, but hasn't had any sort of breakout or anything. Really like John Mechie as a prospect, but again, he missed the entire season last year. Tank Dell, I think, has a connection already with CJ Stroud, but again, a question mark. Noah Brown had some flashes with the Cowboys last year, but nothing consistent. So when I look at these receiving options, the guy who has had the most consistency as a pass catcher the last 3 seasons has been Dalton Schultz. The Texans' offensive coordinator is coming from the 49ers system where he was the passing game coordinator in 2022. And maybe I'm reaching for a correlation here, but the San Francisco offense had their tight end as a big piece of how that offense ran. For Dynasty Leagues, Dalton Schultz ADP is the tight end 10 right now. But even more important, if you look at Underdog's best ball ADP, Dalton Schultz is the tight end 12, and his ADP is 128.2 overall. We have a rookie quarterback who is coming into a Texan system that does not have any sort of alpha and has some promising young guys, but nobody that is solidified, which truly makes me think that Dalton Schultz can be a reliable and consistent target for CJ Stroud in 2023. You can say the Texans are not the Cowboys. You can say Stroud is not Dak. Whatever you want to say, I still think that he has a clear opportunity for consistent target volume in this Texans offense, which is exactly what we want for our tight ends in fantasy. So whether it is a best ball value, whether it is a contender target for Dynasty, I have some optimism for Dalton Schultz in 2023.